morning, good afternoon. My name is Bashir Umar, and today I would be delivering a presentation of Descartes on methods. To begin with a brief biography on René Descartes. He was a French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist from France. He spent about 20 years, 1629 to 1649, of his life in the Dutch Republic. He's dubbed as the father of modern philosophy along with F. Bacon. Descartes, also known as a modern continental rationalist, known for his famous saying, Je pense, je suis, which means I think, therefore I am. In 1619, René Descartes began his first major work on scientific and philosophical thinking. The aim of this was in order for him to create a completely different science which he hoped would overthrow the Aristotelian system and thereby introduce a new system that would guide principles for scientific research. Many elements of Descartes' philosophy have precedence in late Aristotelianism, and he deems philosophy critical to human pursuit of knowledge. According to Barsegian Haykab, who has written and has delivered lectures on Descartes' methods, he's quoted saying that according to Aristotle's methodology, a theory is acceptable if it grasps the nature of a thing through intuition schooled by experience, or if it is deduced from general intuitive principle. However, Descartes was at odds with this tradition of Aristotle, and he attributed his skeptical thoughts to it. He then came to a conclusion that in order to obtain certain knowledge about the world, he needed to reject this methodology and formulate a new one. The process of formulating this new methodology is dubbed by some as the scientific revolution, and people also acknowledge it as such. This old worldview was overturned and rejected in favor of this new worldview that Descartes introduced. The Cartesian view focused on hypotheses and experiments, on reducing scientific phenomena to a very few simple mathematical formulae. The old Aristotelian worldview, which was closely tied to a Catholic Church, which had been the exclusive seat of learning in the West. The Aristotelian worldview was based on reason, logical deduction, and truth was something that could be known and deduced from evidence. These will be addressed shortly in more details, but firstly, we will talk about methodology. Methodology came to employ an important role in Descartes' epistemology, and method in Rule 4, Descartes describes methods as a set of reliable rules which are easy to apply and such that if one follows them exactly, one will never take what is false to be true or fruitlessly expend one's mental efforts, but will gradually and constantly increase one's own knowledge till one arrives at it through understanding everything within one's capacity. Firstly, I will address the goals of Cartesian methods briefly. 1. It was aimed at acquiring a body of self-evidence. 2. It was not dependent on the opinion of others, but its own thinking. 3. Mathematics provides us with a model of indubitable propositions. And 4. The criterion of certain knowledge is that it should be clear and distinct. Moving on, next, the 4 rules of methods, which Descartes states. Before accepting anything as truth must be known to us clearly and distinctly. Divide each problem into its necessary and simple parts. Direct us in an orderly way from simple to complex, and then explain them in that order. And also, fourthly, necessary to make a complete enumeration of the problem without omitting any component. Furthermore, now I shall look at Descartes in contrast to Aristotelian methods. And firstly, intuitive truth versus Cartesian hypothetical deduction methods. Intuitive truth. Looking at intuitive truth first, Alexander is quoted saying that Aristotle purported to arrive at his first principles by induction, whereby Descartes believed he could only obtain them using reason only. Descartes displays the Aristotelian belief that a theory must be experientially based and intuitively obvious for it to be acceptable. In a sense, Descartes was a Platonist because he believed in the innate ideas as opposed to Aristotle's tabula rasa, and he states that the seeds of science are inside of us. This hypothetical deduction method is based on two principles: complexity and post ad hoc. Furthermore, looking at Aristotelian no experiment method versus Cartesian experiment method. Aristotelian scientists believe that if a theory about nature depends on experiments, it is unacceptable. Why? Because they believe nature is to be studied in observations only. Therefore, experiments are unnatural because in experiments, things do not behave according to their nature. They state that there is a clear difference between what is natural and what is artificial, and between things with their inner source of change and things with an external source of change. Example with things of an internal source of change might be nature, for example, a tree, butterfly. A thing that has an external source of change, which is a car or computer. However, the Cartesian scientists who advocate for experiments and Descartes who legitimize experimental science. Descartes states that all matter is just an extension. It should be the same in principle and subject to the same rules. Thereby, since all matter is a mere combination of extended parts which are both natural and artificial, they must obey the same laws. This is in contrast to the Aristotelian view that states that there is a clear difference between the natural and artificial. With regards to legitimating experimental science and the experimental methods of the Cartesian methods, what this means is that when studying the world of artificial nature of an experiment, the artificial nature of an experiment is not an obstacle. Also, the fact that you cannot have complete knowledge about certain things, which means you need to hypothesize. So you hypothesize on things such as gravity and things that cannot be obtained while using intuition. Moving on to another contrast between Aristotle and Descartes on methods. The Aristotelian limited mathematical application versus the Cartesian universal mathematical application. The Aristotelian limited mathematical method, if a theory which advocates that if about certain qualitative change uses some mathematics, it is unacceptable. they state that mathematics is inapplicable when qualitative change is involved. And they also believe that there is a clear distinction between qualitative and quantitative changes, which means that qualitative changes aren't quantifiable, and which Descartes cannot accept because it makes no sense. Descartes accepts that the universal mathematical application, no duality between the quantitative and the qualitative. Descartes had a strong interest in mathematics, and he believed that mathematics was the only thing that is certain or true. Therefore, it could be used to reason the complex ideas of the universe into simpler ideas that were true and were self-evident. For example, 2 plus 2 equals 4. 3 plus 3 equals 6. An axiom truth. Descartes notes and Cartesian scientists note that mathematics has a universal application. Mathematics is applicable to all types of changes, including qualitative changes. And using this method made it okay to apply mathematics to different areas, which in the past didn't seem possible. Theories around qualitative change also apply mathematical tools. To conclude, Descartes' new methodology in mechanical natural philosophy were revolutionary, and they grew to displace the Aristotelian system of theories. These theories down the line were later on displaced by theories of Isaac Newton. Thank you very much. I hope this presentation has been able to give you more clarity as opposed to confuse you. Thank you very much.